Okay, community. The white Black Panther showed up, and that's not what I want to talk about. Ever since Chadwick Boseman died in August of 2020, there's been an agenda, and there's been conspiracy theories coming out of here, which are confirmed to just be conspiracies. No theory. They belittled the character of T'Challa in his name, I guess. Whatever they were going for, they always ran to him. I'm looking for the clip.
His portrayal of T'Challa, the Black Panther, is iconic and transcends any iteration of the character in any other medium from Marvel's past.
You heard
and
this.
It's for that reason that we will not recast the character.
Recast. We will not recast, is what he said. He gave the reason. He just did so good, better than any iteration. And since that moment, if we stack them up, we can look at what they've done since Chadwick Boseman died. Since that, what have they done since Chadwick Boseman died? Well, August, we heard August. Let me start that over again. What have they done since Chadwick Boseman's died in August? Well, the first thing that we know is Wakanda Forever. That movie came out, right? Now, Wakanda Forever. No, I should start with What If. I'm wrong. What If? What have they done since Chadwick Boseman has died? Well, he voiced the character in What If. So we got to see an animated version of a T'Challa who's not King of Wakanda. He was like one of the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy. We got to see that, not the King. We got to see in the Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever, he wasn't the Black Panther. He died in the first minute of the movie. The whole movie took place with Shuri as the Black Panther. And at the ending, they go, hey, look, there's this little boy. What was his name again, Nikhil? What was your son's name?
This is my son, Toussaint.
Toussaint. And at the end, he goes, that's my Haitian name, though. I'm really just T'Challa. Huh? T'Challa is not a mantle you can just put on a character. T'Challa is a character. He's a very prominent one, racially significant. Now, this character of T'Challa hasn't been seen in anything since. No animation. No. If we watch X-Men 97, we'll see that T'Chaka is actually the Black Panther during that show. Why would you retcon something? It's already been established that T'Challa was alive during that animated Marvel universe. There was an interaction he had with the Fantastic Four. Oh, when my dad died when I was younger. But that didn't matter. T'Challa couldn't exist. Why? Because Kevin Feige said...
The portrayal of T'Challa, the Black Panther, is iconic.
The portrayal was too iconic. He just was so damn good. You know what I mean? We've listened to podcast interviews coming out of Ryan Coogler saying, my truth is the well that I feed off of. And my truth was that he was gone. The character was dead because so much of him and the actor were linked together. That was all said in the podcast. Nate Moore also said in a podcast that we decided it in minutes. It wasn't weeks. It was, how do we move the franchise on without that character? And I'm quoting. That's what he said. We have Simone Boseman, the widow, in that same Wakanda Forever podcast, episode 6, which has now been deleted off of Spotify since I've been covering it, says that he would not have wanted it to end after he transitioned. She said, I'll try not to speak for him, but this is not something that he wanted to end after he transitioned, is what she said. That's 90% quoted. I may have mixed a word in or a word out there, but she definitely said that. We have Derek Boseman, the brother of Chad, 10 years older than him, who says T'Challa's just the character. Chad was Chad. When Superman got his accident, they didn't stop doing Superman. They recast it. He would have been fine with recasting, is what Derek Boseman said. He actually said, I would have been fine with it. That is quoted. That's another quote that I'm giving you. Now, did that mean, oh, well, let's reshuffle the deck, The movie that we had made only $800 million because the first one made 1.3. I'm not saying 800 is not enough, but when you gross only 8 million, 800 million, plus in that quarter, money from advertising was taken from Strange World and Lightyear to put into the moneymaker in Wakanda Forever. It did not make back its money through theatrical revenue because of the high expenses of the budget for this 2 and 40-minute movie and the expenses from the marketing. Did that make them go? Did they look at the toy sales and say, "Oh shit"? Did they look at the Fortnite? And Fortnite didn't even ask for the Shuri skin. They asked for the skin of the lead character of every Marvel movie. They didn't even. Did they look and go, "Ah man, there's so much evidence that this is a bad idea, and T'Challa is really important to the franchise." They didn't look at that evidence and do anything. No, they chugged on, bro. X-Men 97 happened, a video game comes out, a trailer came out, and it was called 1940s, The Rise of Hydra, featuring Captain America and a Black Panther. Who was the Black Panther in that? Well, you see, because it took place in the 40s, it couldn't be T'Challa, you know? So there was a valid reason for why T'Challa wasn't in it. Now, I don't care if it's a valid reason or invalid reason. I get, because this is not conspiracy theories, this is conspiracy, this is agendas now. I get that you're trying to separate the brand Black Panther with the character that is T'Challa. So here it is. Go take this guy. And his skin was way too light to be a Wakandan. An uncolonized, uninterfered, no lineage can come from Europe or somewhere where skin would be lighter to be in Wakanda. In the center of the nah, that just doesn't work. In the center of Alkebulan, that his skin was way too, it was the wrong shade. I'm sure it matched the voice actor. They were taking liberties there. Regardless, the Black Panther in there was the grandfather. So we've got the kid who they want to age up. So we're hearing, and I hope they can not do that. We've got alternate versions. We're hearing that now Michael B. Jordan is back. He's going to play in Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. He's playing a Black Panther, but it was a Killmonger. Never went sour. And if he never turned into a bad guy, he would have been in the royal family and becomes a Black Panther. We're hearing that at least. We're hearing Damson Idris is going to be playing the older version of Toussaint, because who cares if it's T'Challa or not, bro? Who cares if it's the Silver Surfer or not? We got Shia LaBeouf. I mean, who really cares if they're not actually Avengers? The Thunderbolts? Nah, they're the new Avengers. You don't need Captain America, Steve. You can have Cap in the form of Sam Wilson. There's so many alternates right now that they're going T'Challa, tomato. Toussaint gets to be T'Challa. Another video game news since Chadwick Boseman's death. A video game that was advertised, supposed to come out. Now that video game isn't coming out. Now that video game has been canceled. And there's multiple reports. I see Mike who just joined. I'll get you in a second. Just continue watching wrestling. There's this report here. Black Panther was canceled because it wasn't far enough along in development. We could read that, and you guys can go ahead and read what Cliffhanger Games, how they weren't qualified and everything. But the report I would rather show you isn't that. The report I'd rather show you is something that Mark with a C covered. Actually, he got it from the Libs of TikTok Twitter account. Here it is. My favorite account.
It's a pretty big team. It's a
This woman is named Danny Lolorendez, and she had this to say about Cliffhanger, where she was working at.
21 right now for Validate. It's a pretty big team. It's a crazy big team for indie games. But who is your team? Validate has a team of mostly all people of color. We have no white people on our team. I did that because I wanted to create a safe environment. And I know the best way.
Pause. Inherently, because everyone having a white person, a single one, would mean it's not a safe environment. I don't co-sign that at all. I think that's way too far when it comes. I think you're everything that they hate.
Way for the environment to be safe is to be around people who are just like me.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that white people in the industry are creating unsafe environments. I'm not saying that. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying that sometimes it is hard to work with white people because they think that something made okay, but it was really a microaggression.
Okay.
And no one wants to deal with that while they're trying to make a game that they love.
All I took from that is that she deliberately hired based off of skin tone. To me, I mean, that's fine if you're at an all-black school. Our vice principal has to be black. What are we doing here? I can see how that can work. But you don't just hire 21 people and then shun 21 applicants. That's why the game was canceled. Regardless, it was a game that was designed where you could play multiple characters. It began with T'Challa leaving. This is according to many reports. T'Challa gets abducted by Skrulls or something happens to him. Now you get to be a playable character as Shuri, as Killmonger, as new people that you're not always playing as T'Challa. This practice, ever since Chadwick Boseman died, continues in comics of just belittling him. Now, if you read comics, you know that the T'Challa Black Panther character got kicked out the Avengers. Then, man, there was a run. He kept on getting beat up. It was crazy. There's a new, prime minister of Wakanda now. It's democracy. Man, get out of here, King. You're not even valid. He leaves. He's like an outskirt in his own country. This guy's been exiled. This guy's this guy's like belittled basically. Recently now, we get to today's news. Yesterday, the comic book came out. It takes place in the future, and there's a white guy unmasked, and he says, "Wakanda is mine." I don't even care about that as much as I care about that. Again, another Black Panther who's not T'Challa. And the training mentally that they have been putting, like the messaging that they've been pushing so many times, is that when we see the word Black Panther, we don't think about T'Challa. We think about a guy who's not an Avenger. We think about his sister. We think about his many sons who they've been creating. It's a problem. It's a major problem, and I'm recognizing it. And it comes to where we are today. Now, during this stream, what's going on? Dre Max show, the Black Panther, the Black White Panther. Did I say Black White Panther? I'm sorry. They have trashed the character since his last appearance. Long hair, don't care. Salute. JG to Chadwick to Chester to. Oh, I'm not gonna say that one there. Hey, where's Dr. Umar? Do we like stack all of these up, all these infractions up, and go, oh no, something's definitely happening at that company where they just can't have T'Challa. It was a mistake for that movie to make as much money as it was, to be successful as it was. It was a mistake. That wasn't supposed to happen. T'Challa, not so important. And here we are going recast. On July 1st, I'm tweeting hashtag recast T'Challa under many posts. That's the debut of the character. He debuted in a Fantastic Four comic book 59 years ago in issue 52. That was July 1st. I'm making that trend. Recast T'Challa. Why wouldn't they have done a Black Panther with Bashenga for Black Panther 2? Doug, you must be missing out, Mr. Goss. I don't care if it's his sister, if it's his son, if it's his cousin Killmonger, if it's Bashenga. If it's not T'Challa, who's the primary character of the franchise, I'm looking at it as an insult, as a dilution of the brand. Dilute is like, when there's sugar in water, but then you add more water and it dilutes the sweetness. So now you got to compensate with more sugar and Kool-Aid. That, it's diluting the brand. This, just like Daredevil, has a main fucking character. Spider-Man's main character is Peter Parker. Captain America is Steve Rogers. Superman is Clark Kent. Now, there's other people who will don the cowl and run Gotham, and there are stories of other people being Batman. We know who the primary character of that is, and they didn't get creative with it until after he's been established. He just had one movie. T'Challa had one movie, and we're already making people forget the name and using other people. So, they could have had Bashenga. I don't accept that, Mr. Goss. It shouldn't have never been done in the first place. Good evening, Professor Film Fan. They need to retire the character until new management comes in. I just heard Mike say something. How you doing, Mike?
I didn't say anything, actually. I had my TV on the microphone. I just muted it. Hello, Chill.
Good to hear from you.
Same. I'm here to bring you back to reality here.
There goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. Why am I outside of... How am I outside of reality? What did I say that was wrong?
You are.
I just documented things that happened.
See, because it's you. Like there's other. I should say there are morons on YouTube who do the usual suspects. God. You know who I'm talking about.
I know how.
Right. Hold on. They don't trigger me with PTSD the way you do because I fuck with you.
Okay.
So
thank you.
So you are giving me two past instances. You are forcing me to relive two past instances. And I'll give you the most recent one first. 2015, I think it was 2016. No, it was 2015. They just had done the what was it? I always forget the name of it. It was an event with the Avengers where it was something similar to that Twilight Zone episode where the little boy had powers and the town was afraid of him.
Ulysses? Was he the Inhuman who could predict the future?
No. please.
Original
no,
Sin,
now
Matthew
you're
Malloy.
Bendis. No. No, Original Sin had to do with the Watcher's eyes. Somebody murdered the Watcher and took his eyes, and then that allowed them to see everything. No, that was no. What you were talking about was Civil War II, and we're not going to go there. And Bendis can stay there. No, but it was basically a cosmic cube became sentient and was basically like took control of the town, because I guess Marvel had to get, because at this point Steve Rogers was old, and this is when Sam was Captain America and Steve joined Shield, so they had to get Steve looking like Chris Evans pretty again, so they used that, and then they started a new Steve Rogers Captain America #1. At the end of that issue, actually in the last two or three pages, he's on a helicopter and he yeets some dude off the helicopter and says, "Hail Hydra." Okay, everybody lost their shit. Everybody was bitching and moaning. And I'm not even talking about online. I'm talking about like literally here too. And then 3 years before that, in 2013, December 26th, the day after Christmas, a day that's supposed to be goodwill towards man and all that, I had individuals coming in here reading Amazing Spider-Man #700, where Doc Ock
becomes Spider-Man.
Yes. And I can't tell you exactly how many people were, fuck Marvel, Stan Slott, whatever. I'm not reading this. I'm done, whatever.
Sure.
And then 3 months later, they came in looking for Superior Spider-Man. What I am saying is that this is Priest. Okay. He's a good writer. Granted, we see where it is right now with issue #1. And you see the last page is the reveal. And the whole time bouncing through, like, I need my stories linear, like, unless you're Tarantino, and even Tarantino gets on my nerves with the bouncing, telling the.
So during the comic book, there's different time periods. We'll see when T'Challa's old or young. T'Challa is past. We get to see what he said about his relationship with Storm, where he says it was a mistake. Yeah, what? Really? Is that That's interesting. The greatest black character versus greatest black male and female characters in Marvel got together. They called it a mistake, and they're like, "Nah, let me get Monica Lynn. She doesn't even have superpowers. She's much better."
She doesn't have superpowers, but that was one of his early chicks that he was going out with. Yeah,
he said, "I'm gonna undo that Reginald Hudlin gunk that he was doing, and I'm gonna tell them that my story was better." I don't care what you say about Chris.
Everybody has their characters that they ship, dude. You know what? I don't want to see Rogue married to Gambit.
How long he's going to keep talking over me, or try to, because I'm going to win it.
Chill.
The white Black Panther aspect is so irrelevant to me. I don't care if he was white or if he was just as dark as T'Challa was dark, or if he was originally of Wakanda or not. That it's not T'Challa again is the issue that I'm looking at. Is what they keep pressing, and it is an agenda that's been started since Chadwick Boseman had his death.
But he was T'Challa. Like, this is in the future. Did you read the issue?
I understand that it was in the future. Maybe you weren't here for when I started this. It's in the future. They have a reason, and just like the video game, it's in the past. That's why T'Challa's granddad is the Black Panther. I don't give a fuck what the reason is for how they could explain it away.
Well, no, I understand that you're saying that they're not showing it.
Black Panther at a time period after Chad died, when they're trying to separate Black Panther from the main character of Black Panther, the Black Panther. That is the problem. I don't care that he's white at all. Like, it's not my thing. I don't care a little bit. I'm not gonna get there where I start being mad about the white issue, the colonizers. I don't care that. I'll never talk about that here.
Okay,
never. I haven't done it. Last when we did Pantheon, others brought it up, and I'm like, that's not the thing. The thing is that T'Challa is not the Black Panther again.
Well, in the issue, not in the, but he was Black Panther. We just didn't see, or maybe Priest is going to show it. I don't know. This is issue.
Yeah, go ahead. This
is issue #1, Chill.
Okay.
We did see. Did you read the issue?
See, this is the thing I did. I have a brain. I read previews. It goes, "The King of Wakanda is dead," and I said, "Oh, I need to read no more from this. I need not to look." These are preview pages, everyone. You can see up top, it's going to say June for August 2025. When it settles and it actually focuses, just take my word for it. So they come out in June, right? It's June right now, actually a week before. And you can pre-order your books for August. One of the pre-orders are the Black Panther comic book called Worlds.
Are you comic book explaining to a retailer, or are you doing this for your audience?
I'm not telling you, Mike. I'm telling the people who may not know
Okay.
this.
Okay.
Everyone, Rogue Comics as an actual shop in Bridgeport, Connecticut, where you can find your fine items. Here we go. It's a double pager. So, they don't always do that. It's usually one page. Sometimes if you go to the back, you'll see these lesser known comic books, and they'll only give them half a page to advertise their issues. Worlds to Come, issue number 3. You see, you understand, they haven't printed these comics yet because they don't know how many to order, but they previewed it and they gave you little wordage to tell you what's going on. Last time it said King of Wakanda is dead. This time it says, the most shocking story of 2025 goes from Wakanda to New York City as some of T'Challa's history is revealed for the first time in the wake of his death. The key to saving the future lies in both T'Challa's past and the past of the man who will destroy the world. Is it the white kid over there? So anyways, T'Challa is dead. I don't have to read the next issue. I don't have to purchase it and finance them and say, oh, I like this. This is great. Racially regressive stuff. I'm going to pay for it. I don't have to do that. They told us that the King of Wakanda is dead during the previews for this issue 2 months ago. And we're getting it again for issue number 3. We're being told in advance. Why anyone would support that, I don't know. I don't know how you could be funding your own oppression. I don't know how you could participate.
How is it, dude? Okay.
And I probably can understand the retailer perspective, right? Buy the comics, you read the stories out, give everything a chance.
Well, no, to be honest with you, the thing that I've grown to hate is the thing where it's like, there's no publicity is bad publicity. And I disagree. When there's negative publicity, that's bad. You don't want, I don't, that whole Eric Bischoff thing, I don't subscribe to that. But
controversy creates cash.
Yes. But as good of a writer as Christopher Priest is, I would want to see where it went before dismissing it based on a 1-paragraph synopsis in a catalog designed to show people what's coming up. You don't know exactly. You don't know this. You don't know the story. We can't have a conversation if you don't know the story. You're just basing it on that.
He's dead. That's the only part of the story that matters to me.
But he's not dead in the Avengers.
Yeah, because that's in the present time. So I can understand if someone wants to support Avengers.
And hold on, this is a Marvel Knights thing. Yeah. This isn't. I don't think, and I've always been because I didn't do the whole edgy. Yeah, I didn't do the whole edgy Marvel Knights thing. But is this or is this not? I don't want to say canon. Well, I guess canon.
It's in the future. So, Old Man Logan. Hold on. Old Man Logan was in the future. Right. They did something where he came back into the past and he was on like X-Men Golden during the presence of the X-Men comics, like 2000.
Well, that was after. Right? Yeah, that was after Secret Wars.
Secret Wars. They figured a way to involve him into canon.
But it wasn't really the original Old Man Logan, though.
But there are good point. But there are so many other times where we'd have, if you read All New X-Men, Kamala Khan becomes the president. That happens in the future. That's not destined to happen. And time moves so slow that won't happen. Grant Morrison, on his last few issues of the new X-Men, because when he jumped ship and he was going to DC, he made a future storyline where this happens, that happens. That doesn't matter because we'll never reach that point in time. So to say is the future story canon or not canon, that there's no writer who's going to be kept to. Oh, by the way, there's a comic called World to Come where T'Challa doesn't marry Storm, so that's canon, and we're going to continue on that path. That's the path. A future storyline can't be canon because of the way that writers and editors are not keeping themselves to it. So
then you're getting upset about a side story that involves Black Panther because in this issue he chose to begin by telling his end and then fleshing out the rest of it in subsequent issues. Is that right?
Another one. So I'm getting upset at Nate Moore will refer to his comic books as publishing. What happened in publishing is what he's saying. Shalabal is a character from like an else world, not the 616, and that's being put into the movie. If we see something like the Nick Fury, he's black, and they go, well, yeah, see, it happened in our publishing. But that was the Ultimate Universe, and they'll put it in a movie. So to me and you, while we're talking about what's canon, how does it affect real 616, the movie people, they can look at this and go, yeah, we're just going to adapt this comic book. whether it's 616, 816, I don't think they know what canon means over there. They're just like, it happened in the comics, and so we're doing it.
Right. Well, that's why the future head of Marvel, Iman, should, like, she said that the MCU, the cinematic universe, is a different reality, a different thing, because they are going to do what you just said. They're going to take bits and pieces and use whatever. Like, that's the reason, because there are, like,
so you agree?
There are these goalposts that people have where, oh, as long as it's in the comic, I'm okay. Well, they did it in the comic, so it's all right. But they're not adapting the comic. These ideas, like Jane Foster with the hammer, that happened in a comic book in the 70s in What If. So they just decided to utilize that in the Thor movies. Or actually in the comic books even later on. I'm sorry, that was in the comics first. But these are all, like, this is the thing. You're holding, and people do this, they hold the movies to a certain standard that the comic books have already had. Now we're doing it the same. Like, do they need to stamp a little thing on there that says Elseworlds on there so people know, or have What If so people know that this is just a side thing? That this isn't something that's canon. This isn't something that, this isn't where T'Challa's headed. This is just a side story with T'Challa.
However it's worded, whatever logo they put on it, the problem is that this publisher, this studio, Marvel, the entity of Marvel, is promoting Black Panther without T'Challa again. And it keeps happening. It's deliberate, and it's at the cost of an iconic, uncolonized African king character, greatest, most inspirational, most well-known Black character in fiction. And that shit is white supremacy. I am an anti-white supremacy YouTube channel, and I know that you might say, well, the people they're replacing, their Shuri is Black, T'Child is Black, to the granddad, what are you talking about? I understand the game, how by taking away the greatest Black character ever, anything that's there to put in his place will not be seen by me and welcomed by me.
So wait, you're anti-white supremacy, but you had a problem with that Black woman saying that the people that were in her, the Black woman on the video that you showed for the video game, but you don't have a problem, or you have a problem with her saying that there were no white people in there, because you don't want to have to take the time to explain why you're doing microaggressions, right? So you have a problem with that. I'm confused. You're doing
predicting microaggressions from people before they were even made, and then she was limiting.
Well, see, but maybe it's her experience, and her experience as a video game developer or whatever.
Her experience has made her say some shit that is weird, but also say something that Donald Trump has indicated that he is not going to be fond of or tolerant of, which is hiring practices that prioritize people whose skin is dark. Now, with Donald Trump doing that, I can see why Cliffhanger, the whole entire studio, and every email and there's not a trace of it. It's all being wiped out. I understand why that would happen with Cliffhanger. I think that's really the reason why this video game isn't happening, not because they realize that T'Challa isn't in it, the fans aren't going to buy it, it's got nothing to do with that, or that they're not making their deadlines. I think that's what happened over there. Well, yeah, I can be anti-white supremacy and say that that woman making comments like that hurts. They do more damage than they do with helping. Will there be another Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall? Yeah, Chad played those two. Can't have them. Mike saying Priest is doing a switcheroo, take it away, and the people will clamor for it back. Are you saying that?
I don't know. I'm saying let the story unfold instead of just dismissing it part and parcel without even reading it.
And I'm saying go to your local comic book shops and say, hey, they're soliciting these comics for August. I don't want any part of it. I don't want issue 3 or issue 4. Is it too late to cancel issue 2? You can just tell them, don't put this on my pull. Do not pre-order this and designate it with my name on it at my comic shop. Tell them no. And then maybe they'll take that information and be like, oh, if he's saying no, maybe I should have some less for the...
that's not going to happen, right? And you know that $800
on the shelf is what I said.
$800 million for a movie that didn't have its main star in there. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad box office haul.
Yeah, they used Oh, I've been explaining that. I'm not explaining that again.
Oh, you're saying they used his memory.
You also have an opinion. So does everyone else. Is Spidey 29 canon? Yeah. That's what I mean. Like Spidey 2099, all the 2099. They happen in the future, right? But there's never anyone who's writing ASM going, well, we got to make sure it goes into the future. Like it says, Miguel had a problem, so let's.
Well, that's why they started. That's why they started the Ultimate Universe, because they didn't want to be bogged down by continuity. They didn't want to have to remember what happened in the 60s.
Effort. I know. There's never going to be a story where, okay, well, the O'Hara family lives in Queens, New York, right? So,
well, that's not necessarily true. Donnie Cates, I think Jason Aaron maybe too, and Al Ewing did it in Immortal Hulk. Hickman, even though Hickman, there's a lot of people. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. Out of 3 or 4 of them that are upset because they're not trying to figure out exactly how Imperial makes sense as far as with Scar and Hulk and all that stuff. And,
this is what I meant when I said sometimes 2 pages will be on one. One page will have 2 comic books advertised. But they were really big on World to Come with Christopher Priest,
Well, that's because it's Priest. It's not just Priest, it's Quesada too. As much as I dislike them.
They got Psylocke and they've got the Wolverine and Kitty Pryde books.
Yeah, and then some books have 1 page.
Written by Alyssa Wong. Yeah, and most books are usually 1 page, like Phoenix comic.
Yeah.
1 page. World to Come had 2. If I look at Imperial, I'm sure Imperial will have,
Actually, I think what issue is that? Is that the one with issue number 1? Or is that's 2 months after, right?
This is advertising for August, so I don't know.
Okay, yeah. So you're gonna have, that's probably number 3. Issue number 3 is going to be advertised in there.
You're right. So Imperial War, Planet She-Hulk.
Oh, they are doing tie-ins.
That's a one-shot.
I did not know that.
There's also a one-shot for the Black Panther. Buy this comic book. It has him in the present. It's dealing with his galactic empire. That's what you spend your money on. This character, Black Panther T'Challa, give that your money and don't give your money to T'Challa's dad. Support it. Don't do that. I want to say hi to Danny, actually, before I go to this video I'm about to react to. How you doing, Danny?
What's up, man? How y'all doing? What's up, Mike?
What's up, Danny?
Danny, did you read this comic and pick it up?
No, I saw some of Fatal's video, and I was like, ooh. It was kind of crazy.
I thought
But correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a comic book head like the two of you. Wasn't there a White T'Challa storyline years back?
Mm-hmm. Well, Steve Rogers filled in for a little while, yes, as Black Panther.
Okay, I just want to make sure I remember that correctly.
A White T'Challa?
A white Black Panther. I mean, not a White T'Challa. I mean, a white Black Panther, yes. A white man played the Black Panther, had the Black Panther mantle.
Christopher Priest debuted him in maybe issue 57, maybe. That character is named Casper Cole. He's half white.
Okay, like I said, I was just inquiring. I knew I saw that somewhere. Like I said, I'm not as inept as you, in depth with this as you and Mike are. But I thought I heard that storyline in the past, and I didn't read the main story like you did. But I saw something about Ryan Gosling playing White T'Challa, something like that.
Yeah, it was in the Ultimate, Danny.
Wow.
Now, Danny, you told me a couple of times, many times, boy, you're going strong in that recast T'Challa thing, and you would always tell me something like that. I would take your consideration. I take it to consideration. But listen, bro. And again, T'Challa's dead again in a comic book. What are they pushing?
I don't know. I kind of agree with what you're saying, but I will say this at the end of the day, which I've always been saying since day one. When you own something, you do what you want with it. The fan, the customer may not like it, and the only thing that we can do is don't pay our money to see it. I mean, I hate that it's going like that. I don't think it makes sense for a white individual to take on that mantle, but at the end of the day, I can't change whatever Marvel's going to do. The only thing that I can do to hurt Marvel is, like you say, don't support the comic books, don't support the movie.
Would you be as triggered, because you brought it back to the white guy? I was just asking you about T'Challa. T'Challa's not the Black Panther anymore. Would it be okay if on that last page the kid unmasks and his skin is dark? So would you go, oh, okay?
Now, you're not going to think differently, because I would not be upset if they time jump to Tucson, wherever he is, and he becomes the new Black.
What happened to Danny's microphone and connection?
Wow, I think, you know what? I think something you're getting drunk with power over here. I think we need to like knock you down before you become evil chill or something like that.
You can't stop me. Go ahead, Danny. You'd be okay with Tucson.
That wouldn't bother me as much as them trying to just totally annihilate him. Just take him and because at first I was on the okay. When they first did it, I said, okay, well, that's cool. But then now I'm with you. I do think they need to recast him, but to destroy the character, I do not agree with that. And if the only way we could get him was through his son, and they do the stories right, I personally don't have a problem with that.
They're gonna make him a South African. Hey, yes, that's right. Chill monger, everyone. I may come over here with the low tone and whatnot, but don't forget the monger part. I think
let me ask you this, Chill. If T'Challa was still alive and somehow he lost the Black Panther's powers and Shuri was able to get it, would you be as upset about it as you are now?
No. What upsets me is the plan and the consistent no T'Challa. So if just that happened, okay. But I noticed too much, like the X-Men 97 shit, the movie shit, all of it. There's too much. If you get one little story that you're suggesting, oh, that's alternate. That's so interesting. Let's see what happens. But there's too much of a push since Chadwick Boseman died.
Okay.
I want to do a reaction to a guy named Joe. His channel's called Real Shift. And he watches shit so you don't have to. That's his tagline. JG's hilarious, though.
No, he's not. He says a lot of things about my future wife. So, in fact, I think you should kick him. Kick him.
Okay, JG, consider yourself kicked.
Thank you.
8 minutes and 42 seconds of something I'm going to enjoy. This guy's name is Joe Real Shift. His channel's right there, Real Shift. Check him out.
Well, it turns out that my Marvel intro
Whoop, I was going way too fast. Let me go to normal speed.
can now be applied when I'm talking about comics as well. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Let's discuss. Our content sucks. Our content sucks.
Sure does.
I watch so you don't have to. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
So I actually woke up this morning feeling like I'm in some kind of alternate universe.
Me too.
Either that or Marvel is trolling us all. Or maybe Marvel has become such a joke that they are basically now a meme come to life. I can't be sure. I'm starting to think that some of these creative decisions that a lot of these entertainment companies are making aren't necessarily out of stupidity. Well, maybe some of them are. But if I try to break down what I think they are thinking...
Well, hold on. Isn't that what I said? Like, this isn't coincidence. He said it's not out of stupidity. And they're doing these things deliberately. That's kind of what I'm saying. We're past conspiracy.
I can't take this guy seriously. He got a CM Punk shirt on.
What's wrong with CM Punk? Like, the best in the world. What do you mean?
Negative.
When they make decisions like this, I have to believe at this point that they know in their minds that outrage culture is at an all-time high, and any publicity is good publicity to them.
And let's hide behind the black guy, because that's what Christopher Priest is, the guy, the toy to hide behind.
Well, see, but no. Right now, he's currently writing Vampirella, and he's going to be writing Red Sonja, two books that are headed by white. Well, I guess I don't know, Vampirella, white females.
Yeah, they're also not Marvel.
Yeah, and Priest has done work on Black Panther before. Whatever. Continue. Go ahead. You know what? While we watch this, can you read the book that we're talking about here, and then we can have a discussion about it?
Is T'Challa dead in the comic book? Okay. Then.
No, actually, he's not, because that would be really lame standing looking at his grave for 22 pages. He's actually alive in the comic book.
Isn't he an older version of himself in the comic book, Mike?
It bounces around, Danny.
Oh, it's like a time skip. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it does the Tarantino thing where it goes back and forth and stuff like that.
So is T'Challa dead in the comic book? Yes.
Well, then I guess I must have been watching a zombie T'Challa then.
There's parts where he's alive, but is he also dead in the comic book? Yes.
If you read it, you would know.
I know that.
This is like a circular
And that
thing.
is true to a degree because even stupid like this gets people talking.
Want to break into cybersecurity but don't have
Hey!
experience? The Google cybersecurity.
What's up, Emily?
That makes sense.
The subject of race swaps feels like it has been an online debate for years now. And with Marvel's latest decision, it's not going away anytime soon. In today's world where a lot of people seem to be race obsessed and volatile, some people have planted their flag in the idea that race swaps are a good thing because it adds diversity to our media, while other people are encouraging these companies to stay true to the source material.
And launch authentic black characters. I don't want a black version of a white thing temporarily until you redo the thing with Cinderella, who was played by Moesha, by Brandy, and all of a sudden Cinderella's white again for the movie in 2014.
How many Blue Marvel videos have you done?
There has actually been instances where race swaps were almost largely accepted or just not talked about as much, and it usually comes when a talented storyteller does it as a creative decision and has the material to back it up. It is not usually accepted when it is a studio mandated decision so they can keep up the appearance that they care about diversity. You can tell when it's disingenuous and when it feels real.
It's true.
My only real argument against it from the beginning comes when we have these iconic characters that are being adapted to live action for the first time. Iconic characters that some longtime fans would
like Namor Mackenzie
probably want to see a more traditional version of.
Tell us.
It was the guy that found him in the lighthouse, Mackenzie.
Before we start making changes. Now, some people scoff at that idea and say, well, the race of the character should not matter. And now I can simply respond to those people and say, do you feel the same way about the news we're going to talk about today? So in the Marvel Knights The World to Come arc in the comic books, T'Challa's son, Katima, has made his debut. In the story, Katima challenges T'Challa for Wakanda's throne and wins, becoming the new Black Panther. Katima is depicted as a white man with blonde hair, which has sparked some controversy.
That's racist.
Now, I'm not going to pretend to know anything about modern Marvel comics, because I don't. So someone who is more well-informed will have to fill me in on whether or not this is a Elseworlds multiverse situation.
It's a future situation, but nothing in the future is cemented in that the writers gotta commit to. So a writer who's gonna do Black Panther in a present day comic book isn't thinking, oh yeah, I remember we did a story where in the future he's got this white son, so let me just write towards that direction of storytelling. It's a future, which means it's not gonna be canon or it's not cemented. It's not really what actually happens, because there's been so many times in past Marvel comics where a guy will be like, well, this happens in the future, and it never comes into fruition because time even moves so damn slowly that we will never get to the point where T'Challa is that old. The comics in this universe, when did they start? Let's say the Peter Parker debuted at 15 years old in a comic book in the 1960s. We're in 2020s and he's only still in his mid-20s. Like, how many years have to pass in real life for a year to pass in the comic book world?
It doesn't happen.
So when you factor that in, no, a story that takes place in the future never is canon or, oh, it actually happened. They said it happens. It's meaningless.
You could actually say that about any story then, show, because we've arrived with the people, the way they're taking all this stuff into account and putting it on their timelines and all that. We reached the Maggie Simpson stage of people being concerned with exactly how old a character is in the comics. And the characters are going to be, unless there's a concerted effort to phase them out and then introduce the new guys or whatever, these characters are going to continue to be whatever age the person, like Danny said, the person that owns them wants them to be. That's why you got like, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's in high school there. Yet in the Amazing Spider-Man, he's 20, mid-20, late 20s, You're never going to have, and then if you read Reign,
which one's the real true canon Spider-Man consequential book? It's the Amazing Spider-Man, which is when he's in his mid-20s, which continues from what Stan and Steve Ditko were writing back in the 60s.
Well, no, because then you could say that, well, you know what? Maybe that Peter Parker is a clone.
Sure, yes, it is a clone, yes.
Or if it's the main Marvel universe. But no matter what way you look at it, it appears that we now have a canon-accurate depiction of an online joke. Welcome to 2025. Black Panther is officially a white guy, at least for now, in the Marvel Comics universe. Now, I don't know if this is going to end up being some roundabout, heavy-handed commentary on colonization, or some kind of meta-commentary
We already got that with the Ta-Nehisi Coates run.
On race swap characters in general. But no matter what way you slice it, like most of these lazy decisions, this one feels like one of the dumbest yet.
It is the dumbest one yet, and there's not going to be anything that I can go and extrapolate as, well, they were doing commentary on race swaps,
Well, let me ask this, Chill.
Yeah.
In this story, I thought both parents were black.
Monica and T'Challa are both well melanated, so the math wouldn't equate in that light-skinned kid going, I'm T'Challa, I'm Black Panther. So yes, both of them are black. You're right. They could not be, maybe it's not a biological son. Maybe like, I adopted you at a young age. It could be something like that. However they explain it, which they will explain it eventually. We'll get to the explanation, right? I'm not going to go, oh, okay, that makes everything okay. T'Challa died in the story.
If this is the Elseworld story, which we haven't completely found out whether it is or isn't, what's the big deal? If it's an Elseworld story. If it's canon, then I see your point. But if it's just an Elseworld, that's kind of like, okay, this is somebody dream or something, but it's really not canon. If it's canon, then I'm with you. I can see where you have the pushback. But if it's an Elseworld, like some people don't take like the Joker, for instance, the Joaquin Joker. Nobody cares about that really.
The issue is that Marvel is pushing Black Panther separate from T'Challa again.
Okay.
Well, mind you, he is on the cover, but this doesn't say Black Panther: The World to Come. It just says Marvel Knights: The World to Come, or Marvel Knights is up in the corner where Marvel should be, the little Marvel logo. But it says The World to Come.
I got to get this book.
What you're not putting Black Panther without T'Challa. My mistake.
No. I'm gonna be as specific as you. Because and also, Bleeding Cool. I don't know how you feel about them, and
we'll get to them after this reaction. You can pull up the article on the side, okay?
Okay.
I mean, they had to know what the reaction was going to be, regardless of the intent behind it.
What were they thinking?
They had to know that nobody has patience. No one is going to let the story play out and see where this goes. Because in the society that we currently find ourselves in, decisions like this only serve to throw fuel on an already raging fire.
Oh, is he about to get into recast T'Challa?
Plus, I know a lot of recast T'Challa folks out there, a movement I happen to support, but they're probably thinking to themselves, this is just another situation where it feels like Marvel is undermining T'Challa's
How the hell did he get it, Mike? And he's not even here.
Significance. And trying to push him out of his role as the predominant black superhero in the Marvel universe. A lot of people probably feel like this decision is validating a lot of people on the internet that they would rather not validate.
That's literally how I started. I remember when I began the stream, I said this is not a conspiracy theory.
How many people with their shitty takes on this comic book did you have to watch before you found one? Because this is the most asinine, ridiculous. Like this is what's wrong with comic books today. Like I've heard people complaining about Thunderbolts. I hear them complaining about the box office. I hear they're complaining about the gross. But yeah, I don't know why it's doing so bad, because it's a good movie. Well, your whole identity is getting on the internet bitching about things that don't fucking matter. And this is where you are now. This is where we are now, where people can't actually say, hey, you know what? Even though, T'Challa, they said T'Challa dies, I want to see how it plays out. I want to see what happens. I want to see the story that Christopher Priest, who is a good writer, can write and tell me. I want to have a story that can potentially be entertained. But since I'm going to dismiss it and not even read it and not even, you're doing a video about something you haven't even read. I don't. I'll let Danny talk.
Go ahead, Danny.
It's kind of hard to follow. I'm just saying I see both sides of it. I'm always been on the mindset that before I call something trash or garbage, I need to watch it or read it before I can intelligently come to that decision.
Exactly.
What I've seen on YouTube a lot is that a lot of people, they instantly see something, they have knee-jerk reactions, and sometimes the knee-jerk reactions are correct, sometimes they're not so correct. I applaud your passion that you have for this. I do want to see T'Challa recast, but before I call something garbage or whatever, I need to fully digest it and then make an intelligent response to it one way or the other. So I'm definitely going to get this storyline, because I want to see exactly where it goes, because it really piqued my interest now, seeing how you and Mike are on opposite sides of the fence. So I want to be able to be able to have more input and more meaningful dialogue with y'all.
And then when the story is over and it's done with the rage, even the clickability, the impact of it, the conversation, everything will have moved on. And so I can understand what Joe just said about how we have Marvel who did this. Did they not know how the reaction would be? Did they not know? They did know about it.
But do you think this could be intentionally to get this kind of reaction, to be relevant, to stay relevant?
Yeah.
How many views did your static video get?
300.
How many should it have gotten? Because you put time and effort into it, and you made an entertaining video. See, things that people complain that people actually appreciate, they don't get as high as that when they start coming on here trashing shit. Okay, this I again, and I said this to you before. This doesn't seem to be the mentality with, we want engagement, we want controversy. And Priest is doing this in Vampirella too, according to Bleeding. I haven't read any of his Vampirella, so I don't know, but he's doing like nuanced things there that either people are getting or aren't getting. I don't know what it is, but I just,
until you read the comic book Vampirella, I can't take anything you say.
One thing too, Joe,
I'm not going any further about it because I don't know. I mean, I can tell you she's probably half dressed, but other than that, I don't know anything else.
You were saying one thing.
I was saying, your stance that you take on race swapping and gender swapping. I see some characters, I believe, that shouldn't be touched, but there are some, I know it's the same two you always use, the Kingpin and also the Ancient One. There's some characters that can be interchangeable. I don't have a problem if the character isn't, let's just say, an A-level character. If it's a C or D-level character and they want to change it, because the Ancient One really, in my opinion, wasn't of that importance to the story. It was more the Doctor Strange. And then, to me, I thought that Michael Clark Duncan did an excellent depiction of the Kingpin in that particular movie. So sometimes it works, and I think we both can agree that
we're not
Shield. Okay, so you don't think Nick Fury by Samuel Jackson was good?
No, I don't.
Okay.
This is why I don't think it's good. The character will be depicted as white again. Instead of launching a black franchise or a black IP, instead of doing one of these guys on screen, instead of giving them a movie with $200 million and saying, go have at it, let's make these guys household names like we did with Doctor fucking Strange.
Well, I sure think Samuel Jackson's Nick Fury is a household name, and it stood the test of time.
You're living in the present. You're living in the middle of this picture. You see that on the right, there's a white guy who's going to be in the movies next month. That's the destiny of Nick Fury as Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. He's dark skinned. Yeah, he's black. There we go. We got representation. It doesn't last.
It's amazing how a decision.
Hold on. Dr. Dolittle was depicted as white, and then we had an iconic Eddie Murphy version. Dr. Dolittle was black. Even Dr. Dolittle's kid had a movie I think Kyla Pratt was the star of. And Robert Downey Jr. played Dr. Dolittle again. You're living in the middle of the 3-phase destructive, regressive, not launching black characters. We're progressive without the progress trick. And when you tell me that Nick Fury with Sam Jackson, he was black with this great representation, he's doing it no matter how hard he tries or anything, that is a white IP. And they did not launch. They did with Black Panther, which is kind of why things are going the way that it's going. They did not launch a black character when Samuel L. Jackson played Nick Fury.
Can you put up the picture that you had again with Blue Marvel and the other three? Okay, and I want you to. This isn't a gotcha. How many videos have you done on any of those 4 characters there?
Every time these 4 characters had a movie, I covered it.
But why do you need to have
every single time those 4 characters were starring?
Why don't you just do an
ongoing series with a high quality writer and artist? I covered it on my channel every single time.
So you've done, yeah, I was just gonna say that, yeah. But you're also complicit because you're not showing that these characters matter to you. Why the hell is Marvel going to go out and say, hey, you know what? Let's do a Blue Marvel series because, Chillmonger in Canada.
It's not on me. It's on them. Them to prove that it's worth the money. It's on them to put high quality.
No, because there are these things. There are these things, and the ilk, the people that complain about things on YouTube, bitch and moan about when they make characters, when they gender swap them, when they race swap them, when they change their sexuality. Oh well, why don't they create original ones? Okay, so when they do create original ones, do you show up and show out for those characters? No, you don't.
Wait, time out. Let's stop. Let's analyze that. When they do create original characters, Ghost Light, the Silver Surfer, Ghost Light. Written by John Jennings. I collected those comic books.
Who?
Exactly.
People on the internet.
I was done the point. I was done.
That they would rather not validate. It's amazing how a decision like this can open up this whole can of worms.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
It's almost always going to create controversy from some angle. So the question remains, why do it at all? What is in it for Marvel to stir up controversy with things like this time and time again? I need you to ask yourself that every time you see something like this happen. On another note, I can't help but think about how Marvel Studios seems to have this obsession with adapting newer comics that a lot less people give a shit about. So would they have it in them in 5 to 10 years to adapt this story to live action? Bringing the memes and jokes full circle and casting someone like Ryan Gosling in the role.
I'm not worried about that actually happening. Anyone else?
Well, it's weird. I unlike Danny, I don't have a problem with the CM Punk hoodie. I do have a problem, though, with somebody talking to me about race wearing a Cleveland Indians hat, which is very racist. But anyways, go ahead.
Well, the question was if you would have a problem, if you worried that maybe 5 years from now we'll actually cast Ryan Gosling, we'll actually do the white Black Panther in the movies. I'm not worried that will actually happen.
No, they won't do that. I don't think we've reached that level of what's the
experimentation?
Word? No, trolling. Like this is part of the thing too. I think it is also, and I don't know why companies would do this. That's like something like children or people on YouTube do, where they say, oh, well, I'm going to, you say, I can't do this. Well, I'm going to do it even harder. Like if you're telling people like, well, Marvel, you shouldn't do this or whatever, they're going to lean into that. And I don't think that's good business because, that's, and it's weird that, those are allegedly your fans or your audience that you're selling stuff to. But so you should listen to them. But then again, there are those people out there that do gatekeep these things and they want them to be the way they were when they were children. And it's not going to be the same thing. Yeah, there's progress.
Danny, are you worried that they'll do a white guy playing Black Panther? They'll adapt this comic book.
I don't think they're gonna do that. I don't.
Same.
It's very crazy to think about, but then again, I'd never thought I'd see something like this play out on any level with the character of Black Panther, but here we are. It does kind of beat home the idea that nobody really gives a shit until it happens to a character or story that you care about. And based on some of the reactions I'm seeing online where people are basically crashing out, it looks like some people are getting a crash course on the manipulative ways of big media companies like Marvel.
Stop buying.
That's what you were just talking about, Mike, about their manipulative ways, and people are getting a crash course. I'm kind of over it, like the sensational shock value kind of things. I'm over
But
it.
why is it sensational? Why is it sensational? Like anything that happens, you do remember when Craven.
Please don't go on a long tangent because I do want to finish his 8-minute video in a relatively quick time.
Dude, comic books historically have been about the bad guy doing something and then the good guy coming back and beating the bad guy eventually.
Yeah.
We do not know. Again, you are how many issues is it? 6 issues, right? You are trash, and I understand it's enveloped by everything else that's been going on with the T'Challa and all that stuff, and I understand that.
Thank you.
I'm specifically talking about this here, though.
Okay.
This one thing. This is the topic that you're talking about. This is what I'm talking about now. Like all this triggering and all that stuff. Like it was like that. We watched that Birdman video about him dissecting one of those idiots and talking about, well, how come you only reviewed that Viola Davis movie and all that? Why didn't you do the other one, Sinners and stuff? You know, like this is what happens. This is why. This is what people. If something comes out, did you read it, Imperial? John Flippin's thing that came out this. Did you like it?
Yeah. Beginning was slow and kind of like but I liked it. Why?
Okay, but did you do a video about it?
No, I don't do videos on comic books anymore.
Oh, but you used to. But this one didn't. This one didn't inspire. This one didn't inspire you to do a video on it, even though you kind of enjoyed it.
Algorithmically wise, I'm going to be movies more than I am.
See. Okay, so
comic book stuff.
This is what's inspiring these companies to do this, because if they put out something that's universally good, like nobody knew Barbie was going to be what it was. There's no way they can calculate that stuff. So they know what they can calculate is doing something that's
a safe bet. A pretty well-known character.
What's that?
Barbie was a safe bet. I think you're not going to predict how well it did, but you can predict. Yeah, it's worth investing.
It was like a feminist manifesto, dude. What are you talking about? Like I understand, like Barbie's supposed to be just.
Anyways,
like girls
isolating this comic book and talking about it isn't what I'm doing. I've introduced this ever since Chadwick Boseman died. Here's what we've had problem, and that was in the beginning of this stream. So I don't.
But see, if you were doing this after the conclusion of issue number 6, then I would agree with you, Joe.
I don't think it's right to criticize one comic book. It's 4 issues, not 6. And go, well, you see, when you only look at one comic book, that's the thing. I'm talking about the macro right now. Macro? Is that the right word?
Yes.
It is the right word, right? All right.
Micro is the opposite.
He's not saying this issue of the comic is bad in a vacuum. It's a culmination of events. Thank you. Much better.
But that's what I said. That's what I said.
Yes, they don't track as well as films / shows. I barely knew it was coming out, and then I couldn't find it with the Cloak and Dagger. Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, that was what, 2 seasons?
How the tables have turned.
I think we all need to ask ourselves right now, are the right people in charge of the properties that we love?
No.
Do they truly care about preserving these characters that we have so much affection for?
That's a 3-way no from all 3 of us.
Now, I've had my doubts for years when it comes to Disney's occupation of the Marvel brand, and that's in terms of films, comics, or whatever else. The people creating this media right now seem like the type of people who prey on the weaknesses of their audience and try to use that weakness as a way of driving an even bigger wedge in the fandom. Divisiveness is the name of the game in nerd culture right now, which is pretty crazy to think about when you think about how nerd things were looked at pre-MCU success. There was a time when comics and nerd culture things in general was a very niche thing. There is something to be said about the way that these properties have gone corporate now, And I think it's been evident for a very long time.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
And more people seem to be waking up to these ideas that people like myself have been warning everyone about for years.
I don't like to blame corporate. Corporate is a person who's in charge of something. Bob Iger, CB Cebulski, Kevin Feige. I don't want to just call it corporate. I don't want to just blame Disney.
Now, I don't know if the new white Black Panther is a big deal or not in the comics because I don't really have a ton of context.
It's not a big deal because it's consequenceless. And yes, it is issue 3. It is a 6-issue limited series. I was wrong to say 4. Imperial is 4 issues.
But from afar, having the little bit of details I do, it does in a weird sort of way feel like a culmination of the race swap discussion.
Okay.
Even if it's not technically a race swap in the traditional sense because it is a completely new character. But it is similar to the Sam Wilson situation where new lore dictates that these mantles can be passed to different characters. And for me personally, I just don't have an interest in that. The more iconic and recognizable versions of these characters are what I prefer. And the same goes for T'Challa. I don't want to see his sister as Black Panther. I don't want to see any of his kids as Black Panther, at least not long term. If this just happens to be a one-off to tell a story.
What made you say wow right there? What was the wow factor?
I'm just the MCU fans and fans in particular are so complicit because on one day they'll say we're not getting original stories. Then they'll say in the next breath, well, this is not comic book accurate. Then when they give you stuff that's comic book accurate, you're fussing and complaining. So it's kind of, in some cases, not all cases, it's damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with Shuri being the Black Panther because it's not something that they pull out of their butt. This is actual source material. Maybe it was done at the wrong time, and maybe they did capitalize some on Chadwick Boseman's death. I'm not denying that, but at the end of the day, it is comic book accurate.
So would they have, like, I mean, let's say they had done Wakanda Forever and just, oh, well, he's dead. Let's move on, and didn't do anything. Like, it's not like they had to process the real actors dying, and they chose to do that by getting rid of the character too. Do I agree with that? No. And I still think that he was in the ship. There was no body. Nobody saw it. So he could still be alive, whatever, and bring in the secret invasion thing. But that's what they chose to do.
Yeah. It goes back. I think me and Mike on the same page. It sucks. And I don't say that I disagree with what you're saying, Chill, and your viewpoint. But at the end of the day, when you own something, you get the right to do what you want to do. And the only thing that we have as fans is don't go see it. Don't pay to see it. If it's something I don't like, I'm not going to see it. And you did that same thing. I commend you. And I did the same thing. The way they did
Jonathan Majors.
I did not watch any MC movies that entire year. Because I think it was wrong. So that's the only thing that I can do to hurt them. And that didn't hurt them because they didn't miss my a little bit of change. But if everybody
they are pretty hurt right now because they're not making money. Anyways, Shuri is comic accurate. His exact words in the video are,
I don't want to see his sister as Black Panther. I don't want to see any of his kids as Black Panther.
And I can kind of agree with what the message is there.
But see, now he's giving us his demands,
bro. So when Shuri is the Black Panther in those comics, which I have purchased and read over again, covered on my channel, those comic book pages, like there's 20 per book, T'Challa is in many of them. He's in just as many or sometimes more than Shuri is in. Her being I also don't want to see Shuri as the Black Panther. And it's because of T'Challa and belittling the greatest Black character ever. I don't think that's what Joe was going for in his video, but I don't want to see something that isn't comic accurate either. And if Shuri becoming the Black Panther is comic accurate, and we want to be accurate, then there's got to be just as much screen time that there is for T'Challa in that comic book storyline written by Reginald Hudlin, Jonathan Mabry and Reginald Hudlin put T'Challa in that comic book. He didn't die in it. So no, that movie we got wasn't comic accurate just because a part of it was accurate, which Shuri becomes Black Panther. Now she's not accepted by the Panther goddess or any of that. She was given it because they're like, well, you weren't killed by the Panther God. We can just call you the Black Panther. She was not actually officially anointed the way that's supposed to happen, but that's not what happened in the movie, right? In the movie, we didn't know T'Challa where he died. It wasn't comic book accurate. I got a point.
I get what you're saying, but I will push back on that just a little bit. This was a unusual set of circumstances. This guy, the main character, Chadwick Boseman, had just died. I think it was knee-jerk reaction. I think it was they had a timetable, and if they had to sit down and had enough time to think about it and do stuff, but my understanding is that he had to do a lot of rewriting and stuff in the midst of grief and all kind of stuff. And
he didn't have to. He could have thought, wait, I wrote this movie with Chad. We wrote it together. He put his input in. This is what he wanted. We'll just do the movie that the guy who died would have wanted. The guy who knew he was sick was suggesting these things. Yeah, let's just do the movie he would have wanted as like a homage to him. That would have been a sound, logical implementation. Did you even watch the magazine Dreams though? I don't know. Did I? What are you talking about?
What's he talking about?
So
Marvel should have recast T'Challa. They also should not have fired Jonathan Majors. Two things I can agree with. You were saying, Mike?
So what I heard that individual say was he gave us his list of demands because he wants things to be the way he wants them to be. Just like Star Wars Theory wants all the Star Wars movies to be the way he wants them to be, the way he grew up with them. Okay, I guarantee if I ask Danny who his favorite Green Lantern is, it could be different than mine, and it could be different than yours, because I know yours is John Stewart, chill, and Danny's is probably Hal Jordan, and mine might be Guy Gardner. But does that invalidate the other two choices just because I have a different one? Am I going to sit there and demand that this is what they need to be? Like, this is what, like Danny said, this is what they chose to do. Do you think it was the right thing? You clearly don't. I don't necessarily think it's the right thing. I wouldn't want to be put in that position. But if Chadwick was close to, and see, this is hypotheticals. We don't know anything that happened between Chadwick and Coogler or Feige or any of that other stuff. We just know whatever they've come out and said. Whether that's the truth or not, we don't know if that's the truth or.
I'm not calling these guys
I agree.
liars for what they said about. Well, he gave Chadwick Boseman the script 2 weeks before Chadwick Boseman died, and it was finished. I'm not going to call Ryan Coogler lying on that.
Mm-hmm. But going back to my initially what I said though is that this is a comic book fan giving demands on he wants things to be the way he wants them to be.
He's saying what he wants and he doesn't want, which he doesn't want to watch a show.
Right. But you know what? What I was trying to impress upon you is that Danny, you have three individuals here. We might not want the same things. You know, I might like Spider-Man when he's married to Mary Jane. There might be somebody else who has an attachment to him that isn't.
Go for what the masses want, which is T'Challa.
But then that's what they're going to do. They're going to put it out. And if it doesn't sell, then they're going to stop doing it.
If T'Challa doesn't sell, you're really saying that in a world where the Shuri movie happened?
I'm talking about anything, chill, regardless. Okay? Because there was a time where people would come in and say, no, I'm going to wait for the trade. And then the book would get canceled because they wouldn't buy the book. And Marvel actually does take the sales of the floppies, the monthlies, into consideration when they decide whether they're going to make a trade paperback of it or not. Peter David, the late Peter David, is one of the ones that said that. He said, don't do that, because you're not guaranteed to get a trade paperback, unless, of course, obviously you're a Bat book or an X book or a Spider book or whatever. But everything else, it's all up in the air. It doesn't. You're not necessarily guaranteed anything. So, continue.
At least not long term. If this just happens to be a one-off to tell a story, then I get it, and I'm pretty sure that that's what this is. And in that case, I think a lot of people are overreacting. But again, Marvel Studios themselves created this environment where people instantly have angst over discussions like this. And now the reaction to these creative decisions has to be considered before you make them. And companies like Marvel have literally created a burden on themselves now to have to validate everyone, and you're just never going to be able to do that.
I'm going to like this video because
I think that some of that could be deliberate, because now this is trending like nobody's business.
I didn't want to cover it, but then I saw how public it was, and I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like I'm promoting the book by covering this. I feel like it's already in the zeitgeist.
Well, I can tell you, Chi, I wasn't interested to the book until I came on here. Or in a way, you kind of.
This makes you want to spend $5 to pick it up.
I want to see how can I talk about it intelligently if I don't read it.
Pirating it. I wasn't even joking. You can pirate it. You can go. There's people on Twitter going, here, don't waste your guys' money. This is page 1, page 2, page 3.
Well, if I could go and somebody hand me the book, I would definitely do it. But I don't know people that's going to hand me their book. Say, hey, read this. I mean,
well, do you want to collect it? Do you want to own the?
I want to read it. So if I want a conversation like this, I know what the heck I'm talking about, not just making assumptions.
You just want to read it, and you don't want to own the first appearance. You just want to.
I don't have to own it. I can read it and give it back to somebody who else. Maybe if I like it, I will keep it. But if I don't like it, then I have the right to do it. But how can I come on here and discuss something and know exactly what you're talking about?
You open another tab, you say free comic books, and then you'll get like 10 options. One of them will probably give you a pirating website where you can just flip the pages and fight the pop-ups.
Danny, that happens with so many people on YouTube, where they just talk about things they haven't experienced, or they don't read, or they don't watch, or they don't listen, or whatever.
I don't need to experience. T'Challa is dead. They previewed it with something in my physical hand saying that, well, in issue number 3 is gonna die. It says, oh, some of T'Challa's history is revealed for the first time in the wake of his death.
Well, let me tell you a true story, and it's quick. I think it pertains to this. I see what you're saying. I'm like that with zombie movies. I can't stand zombie movies. But people that I stream it on YouTube say, look, check out the one I think Zack Snyder did. What was it?
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
I
actually enjoyed it. I didn't think it was fantastic or great, but usually when I see something zombie, I instantly, that ain't for me.
You should
sit down and watch it, and I thought it was pretty entertaining. So, I mean, I'm not saying that this story is going to be entertaining, but I think it's important enough if I'm going to give my time to come on here and talk about it. I need to at least educate myself and be able to say, well, I agree with this point, Chill. I don't with that, Mike, and I can see what you're saying. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion.
You're going to have the same take you started with, where I have to read the whole thing through, and this is just issue 1, and there's 3 more parts of the story. I'm wrong. Sorry. 5 more parts of the story. It's 6 issues. Mm-hmm. Who keeps getting booty calls? That's what I'm wondering. I keep hearing a ding. Is that my phone?
That's my phone. I'm sorry. That's my wife and daughter talking. Let me cut it off.
I was going to say, you didn't even deny it was a booty call or not.
No. That's my wife and daughter. They're talking to each other. Ain't no booty call. Them days is over.
This is the new world we live in, bro, where sensationalism, and that's the way that people are going to sell a book. There's also a second printing of this book because they know they didn't order enough. They didn't create enough. Not enough shops were interested that much in this Christopher Priest, Joe Quesada Marvel Knights Rebirth.
Is it a big seller in your shop, Mike?
Yeah. No, the reason they do that, Chill, is because they don't overprint books anymore. Back before the pandemic, they used to overprint books, and they would account for stuff that was missing in the shipments or damaged in the shipments or whatever. And now they don't do that.
So this comic book you're saying is selling well in your shop?
Yes.
Okay.
It's selling well, but you didn't order as much. If you knew that this was going to be the conversation starter that it is, you would have ordered more.
No, see, this is the other thing, too.
Yes, it is. So why'd you say no to that? If you knew that this was going to be the talk, you would not have ordered so few.
Oh, no. See, because this is the thing, too. Like, people come in and they'll say, oh, what comic book is going to be worth money here? And I say to them, do you think if I knew the answer to that question, I would order any of these other books? Like, it literally, this wall would just be that one comic, because that way I would be able to make money from it. I don't know the answer to those questions, Chill. Okay, but I will tell you.
I know, but if you knew that this was going to be the thing, you would have ordered more. And that's why the second printing, which has been advertised, it's going to be in your shop next week.
Next week?
How long does it take for a second printing? 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
It hasn't even been on FOC yet. I don't know. I haven't seen this since FOC. I'm positive.
My apologies. One day, the second printing of issue number 1 will be up for sale. I thought it would only take 1 week, 2 weeks, was a lot of times before the second issue, the first print. Before issue 2 comes out, issue 1 will have its second printing out. That's happened many times in the past. Anyways, whenever it comes out, whether it's this month or next month or whatever, they will print this comic book with a new cover since the spoiler is out. This is issue 1. It's got the white guy wearing the Black Panther. It's Kadama, whatever his name was. This character here, you will order more, won't you? Why is it so hard to get yeses and nos?
If there's a demand for it, yeah. If not, then no.
If there's a demand for it, like it's not Friday, like the comic didn't come out on Wednesday. If there's a demand for it, there's a demand for it.
Is it sold out in your store now, Mike?
No, I still have some. But this is part and parcel for everything that's going on with the comic book industry. Like these days, there doesn't seem to be a lot of readers. People like we're talking about it now. Like, yes, you can say that this is a one of those headline grabbing comics or whatever. But even Chill didn't even read it, and he's a reader. This is like the problem with the industry because there are people that don't read, period. The only way that you can get people to potentially maybe read is to do stunts like this or to be provocative like this. Like even with Imperial, I hate, and we talked about this when talking about the Eternals and all that. I hate all that cosmic shit. I hate it so much. The only reason that I would even pick up Imperial is because of Hickman. That's the only reason. I don't care for the art too much. I mean, it's not bad. It's not Liefeld bad, but it's not really like, Isai Ribic good. But I would still, that's the only reason. I wouldn't go out of my way to say, oh, I got to read this book. But Marvel has to figure out a way to get readers, and the only way that they can think of doing that is perhaps by being provocative like this, or in a way that you think is provocative. Like somebody else, oh my God, they killed Black Panther. Like they might not know any of this other stuff that's going on because they're not into like the recast T'Challa thing and whatever else. They just chill. I'm not talking about, again, like when I always say Marvel cares about the people that walk by my store. They don't want the people that walk into my store. So I'm talking about those people now, the ones that walk by the store that don't know. The contact is only, oh, I saw that movie in movie theaters, Black Panther with Chadwick. Yeah. Oh my God, they killed him in the comics. Let me go read that. Or like those people that bought the Spawn issue where Todd McFarlane did a homage. He put Chadwick on the cover and like RIP or whatever. He did it for, I think it was like 318 or something like that. So people who normally wouldn't buy Spawn bought that issue, even though it had nothing to do with Chadwick or Black Panther or anything whatsoever. And I think if I remember correctly, he just drew Chad, but he had him like dressed as Spawn or something like whatever it was. It was to
I'll find it.
Yeah. But
also, what's hurting the comic books too is, man, Marvel Unlimited, man. I had that for a long time because it's just so much easier. So I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's tight right there. I would buy that.
And I sold a lot of those. But now, did anybody that buy those covers that weren't fans of Spawn, did they read that book? Or did they read it and then say, oh my, wait, Chadwick's not in here? Like, why am I reading this?
Yeah, that's
so
if you know enough to buy the Chadwick Boseman cover, you probably also read that it's just a tribute and it's not going to be like Chad is in the comic.
Chill.
Enough.
Spoiler alert. People aren't always that smart.
This is true.
I don't know, maybe I don't know how it is up in Canada, but down here, yeah, that's where we're living.
Mike, is it sold out in your shop? He said no.
No.
He said some, but he said it's selling well. I don't know. So he's not going to tell you the numbers. That's private. Like if he ordered 100 and 80 of them are sold.
It had some nice variant covers. There was two variant covers, one with Storm on there that Joshua Swaby did, I think, and then there was another with T'Challa, and I don't know who did that one, but that one looked pretty cool. Actually, it was the second print cover that you showed me. It was T'Challa on his face instead.
All right, that is the way that Marvel has been operating, comic book wise, video game wise, TV shows on animation front. We've
you asked a question too on I don't think they'll do a movie, but I would not be surprised to do an animated series. I would not.
Eyes of
what?
Wakanda is coming out in August 6th.
No, I'm talking about something like I know that if they do something, let's say What If season 4. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this version of T'Challa in there. I would not be surprised.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just
get some viewership up there.
I'm just saying.
Fire up your Disney Plus to see White Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that would be me going another Black Panther who's not T'Challa. And why are they separating the fucking Black Panther with the alias, with the nickname, the branding of Black Panther? Why don't they just keep using him? Because he is the most profitable, the highest growth, the most impactful, the most anti-stereotype, inspirational, tangible actions of
So out of all the Black Panthers, is he the most important one?
Most important one, T'Challa.
Okay.
You know what I'm curious about? I wonder why they didn't let Priest do a series. Maybe Priest didn't want to do a series. Like, why didn't they just do a Black Panther series? You know what I mean?
Well, it was the Marvel Knights anniversary, right? That was the reason for it.
True. Yeah, but I'm saying, like, we can do a Black Panther with Marvel Knights, like,
I don't have any like love for that Marvel Knights imprint. I don't care.
But I was Quesada. That's what made him like editor in chief and all this stuff, and allowed him to do what he did, what he attempted to do to Spider-Man until Dan Slott came in and saved him.
Joe Quesada is a movie guy now. He's above just the comic books, and he was put on a mission from Kevin Feige to do this. Yeah, that guy right there. When Chadwick Boseman died, they were like, "Yo, no more T'Challa, bro. What kind of representation?" Look, you see what's going on right now with Burkina Faso, with Niger, with Mali. Chad is getting in on it, booting all of the French. Everyone's just kind of like using their own resources now to uplift themselves. That didn't happen before this 2018 movie. We got to stop it before these blacks get a little bit too motivated to fix up their countries.
But see, you know what? This is the other thing that sucks too, thinking about this, is that what they wanted has come true, because you did a video on a book that you probably wouldn't have done a video on, but you did it. So now you're doing like, this is the thing. I saw another video.
I know I'm doing it, but I also feel like it's become way too big. Like the 20 people who I'm streaming to right now have already seen it. I'm not promoting it. I'm not advertising it any more than it already is. It's already a big thing. Bleeding Cool's covering it, but also guys who are not Bleeding Cool are covering. I can't think of anyone coming to mind right now, but it's a popular thing enough where I can go.
I first heard about it with Fatal. When I saw it,
there you go, Fatal J. Fatal J doesn't talk about every comic book page, right? Other YouTubers have been covering it too. It's definitely not just your standard. Like Blurred Without Fear covers every comic book, so I understand why he would have a video about it. But then there's just some movie people going, huh? Den of Nerds from Josh. I saw that on his thumbnail. I didn't watch it yet, but I saw him talking about it. Joe took smoking out of comics. Good. Joe Quesada was good for that. He knows what the right message is. Right, Mike?
No, I will never say anything nice about Quesada. Other than his art and his issue is actually really good. So, that's about it.
Yeah, everyone make sure to pirate The World to Come, the new Marvel Knights imprint. Make sure to pirate all 6 issues.
He says with someone who actually owns a comic book store on his stream.
I say go to Mike's shop, order online, give him your money, order the Imperial Black Panther. That's a one shot, not much of a commitment there. Go support.
Wait, so you didn't have a problem with what they did in Imperial?
They have the Wakandans be bad guys?
Yeah.
It's fine, because I think
you're good with that.
The good guy. $4.99, we could read the good guy T'Challa. Take out the guy who's out here sniping all the heroes. So in Imperial War, we can read, spinning straight out of the pages of Imperial. Blamed for the assassinations that have started an all-out galactic war, T'Challa will first need to survive a brutal assault from the World's Breaker Hulk and Cho before he can think about hunting down the true culprit. See, he's a hero. He's going to find the true culprit. He's going to clear the name of the Wakandan Empire. And all while his spacecraft spirals towards certain doom, sounds like another day at the office for the Black Panther. That's some heroic shit that I'm going to pay $4.99 for, which is on my pull list right now. So I've already paid for it technically. That comic book is going to come to the shop, and I'm going to go, hey, where's my... They're going to say, your pile's right over there. I'm going to say, ah, Imperial Black Panther. That's what I'm going to support. That great representation. You should do the same. Hey, we're at a nice clean number of 1 hour and 30 minutes. Let's end it here. Appreciate all of you who have joined. Guys, go tune into the Dre Mac Show, who covered this at large earlier this week. I bid you adieu. Bye.